Okay, is everyone ready?
Yep, we're ready.
I'm with you. So who's going to do the introduction? Andy, would you like to do the first introduction to welcome the guest?
As you are the host and the lead, I think you should.
Okay, I'm hitting live now and then we're on.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Go.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining tonight's conversation. My name is Jackie Pamotse. I'm the author of the BHA'S series. Today I was invited by TTMBHA to host his virtual launch. Congratulations, dear author. You are officially a published best-selling author. I saw the numbers, so I'm not sucking it out of my thumb. I saw the numbers. I saw the books and exclusive books. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for the support, Jackie, always.
So just a brief background. I know you as a real estate owner.
Yeah.
Well, your company, like you are in real estate, right? You've got a company that handles that, right?
Yeah.
That's where I was first introduced to you. Mm-hmm. And then boom, COVID happens and TT starts writing, right? Just before you answer those questions, I would like to also welcome my fellow co-host, Andile Ngube.
It's crazy how I'm best-selling author and I welcome best-selling author TT, and then now Andile Ngube.
But it is how. But it's his show. We have to celebrate him. We have to acknowledge him.
All right.
How are you, Andile?
I'm very well, thank you. I love being here. I can't wait to get into something that we carried for so long, because I must be honest, I too feel like I was a part of, TT's story in his recovery, because as a friend of someone that got Corona at a time when no one knows anything about it, you go through it too.
I'm actually surprised, or maybe not even really surprised, because just you saying the word Corona, you stumbled on that word. Why is there stigma? Why did you stumble on it as if you've got epilepsy or leprosy or what? Or like, just the word Corona made you stumble. Why was that?
Well, for me, it's always a discrimination between Corona and COVID-19. Which is which, and which, the education part of it, and which do we use? And I've realized that in South Africa, we lean more towards Corona than COVID-19. But if you are watching and are infested with international news, then it's COVID-19 that brings in your head. So it was just an adjustment of those two.
Okay. Abu Dimba, I will respect you and call you Abu.
Just call me TT. Just call me TT.
Okay, TT. Just to introduce the book to us, the book is called Tough Talk with TT. How did that name come about?
So it was a conversation that I was having with my sister. And that conversation was after I had tested negative, actually. And I was reflecting on my journey, of isolation and dealing with, everything that came my way during that period. And I was having a venting session, if you want to call it that, with my sister. But part of that was also saying to her that I believe that the experiences that I went through were important to have some sort of a way that I could document them. And we were toying around with names. And I said to her, we've been through such turbulence during this time, and with everything that I went through, I need to create a show where I can talk to people about things that are uncomfortable to them, or that are not easily palatable to them, And then she threw some names, and one of the names was Tough Talk. And I said to her, that's the one, because we had like rough talk, tough talk, hard talk. Because I wanted to get the message across with the name. And she actually created the name Tough Talk with TT.
But for the people who are joining us and yet to still join us, because I see the numbers are increasing by the second.
Yeah.
But just one or two house calls, right? So we're going to have this conversation. You're going to answer. Andile is going to jump in.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I think when we are in 15 minutes of the conversation, we're going to go into the chat. The chat is a platform where they are able to ask you questions. So I'll read the questions out to you, and Andile will also assist me with that, right? Then we'll continue with the conversation. leading towards the end, we'll take about 4 or 5 other questions, depending on how this this launch goes.
Okay.
But I read your book and I saw there's a lot to talk about. So we will divide the conversation into 2 parts.
Okay.
So first and foremost, at this point, how are you feeling?
So at this point, I'm feeling quite overwhelmed by the support that I have been receiving around the book itself, the support around just people generally showing up. And I think that's something that this period has taught us about ourselves, that, you know, when it's time to show up, it's those that matter the most that always will show up. You know, I think this was a true test of kindness, of humility and humanity more than anything for me.
Yeah, I'm asking this question because the book is literally like a handbook of your recovery, right?
Yeah.
But I want to know, just before COVID happened, what were you doing?
So before COVID happened, I was just living my best life, you know, trying to sell a lot of homes, trying to build, you know, on a lot of other projects that I was working on. And I guess we were all just doing our thing, you know, getting on with our lives, waking up early, pushing the hustle, you know, part of the red race, what you want to call the red race. We were all part of this cycle. And I guess it got halted.
So when it got announced, right? So we are all scared. They're saying 21 days lockdown. That's how it started, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'll be part of the stats of the people who were positive?
No, you never think it's going to affect you until it comes close to your doorstep. And I remember having so many different conversations with different friends and family about the fact that we are always privy to these stats on TV, on radio, but I didn't know anyone personally. I didn't know anyone that tested positive. I was the first person that I knew that tested positive. And that for me was like quite a shocker.
Abuti Andile.
Yeah.
Did you get tested?
I did.
Between March and now?
I did. I actually posted my testing video because it was highly traumatic for me. I was about to undergo an operation that I had a minor little surgery, correction surgery, and I was told in order to be at a hospital, you've had to have your COVID results. So I went through, and it was a drive-through testing thing, and I was told that it's been done through the back of your neck. That's how you get tested. So I thought to myself, then they put it in, it's uncomfortable. But I had no idea it's through your nose. That reaches all the way to it was before it was early days, so the mouth testing wasn't as popular then. And they did the thing where the doctors stuck this long bud that's almost like an earbud all the way down to right behind your nasal sphere here. And it was traumatic. I did get tested, but not for, because a lot of people said, have you been around Tato? I hadn't been around Tato. I had been very good at staying away from everyone. And he too would not have people come over to his house. We were very conscious of this simply because, I have an elderly mom that I occasionally go see and occasionally go get groceries for. So I couldn't be risking her. And we didn't know the effects on children then. And he's in the house with 2 of his children. So it was playing games with people's lives if you hadn't.
Absolutely.
It's a bit tricky because the 3 of us are here. And I also at some stage tested positive. So I know the feeling. I know the feeling. It was literally like a week after TT, which was so strange. I was like, am I really part of the stats? And I hated just knowing it. The knowledge messes you up. I think if I didn't know and I just thought it was a mild flu or anything like that, I would have been okay with it. It's the knowing, the knowledge that, oh damn, I'm COVID positive. As if you do feel like you are automatically isolated from the world just by hearing the words that you are COVID positive, right? But Titi, when you now realize that you are COVID positive, did you then say, at this point, I'm going to write this book. This is a great time. Or it was well after you realized that you were positive?
So are you asking at which point did I think about writing the book?
Yes.
So what transpired was that when I got the results, I obviously dealt with my inner feelings and emotions first, and then obviously spoke to the family and close friends about it, and then went onto social media. So I kind of went through different phases. But at that point, I was just focusing on healing and getting through this the best way I could. But part of what was quite apparent in my journey of healing through the days was me making notes of what happened every day. So I would say today is Monday, it's in the evening, I got a call from this person, I spoke to this. So I would highlight things that were highlights and lowlights of each day. And at some point when I had the conversation with my sister about writing a book, I was actually approached by a gentleman called Siyabonga Ndlozi. He's a publisher. Yeah. And he said to me, dude, I've been watching your journey on Instagram about how you've been coping. Why don't we do a book and I can help you with that?
Jackie, before we even go there, I mean, we're talking about you doing the book now. And I come from, and you know, you're not on Twitter, I am quite heavily so, and I enjoy reading that and getting opinions. Yeah. Why even write a book? This is something that is affected, you know, a large percentage of the world that we go through. It's something that you go through for 10 days. I know and I realize why somebody would take one moment in time that is 14 days long and turn it into a book. But I mean, I read one tweet that I shared with you in laughter where somebody says, what are you going to write about? Chapter 1, I coughed. Chapter 2, I coughed again. You
That's
know,
exactly what I thought.
Yeah, so what
exactly
is
what
it?
I thought. I said, come on, you are sick.
Why write a book?
You're gonna write when you say.
His wife and I are quite close. So I gave her a call and said, he says he's going to write a book. And we had a good chuckle for a long time about what is a Corona book. So Tato, even till now, when people see it in stores, they're like, you got Corona, so?
Yeah, so what?
Is it actually a book? Can we see the book cover? Is it really a book? We want to see.
It's a pocket book.
How many pages?
80 pages. It's a pocket book.
Okay, great.
So to answer your question, Andy, and it's a question that I've been asked by so many people, and some in very malicious ways, some sincere. But at the end of the day, for me, I believe that we all have a story to tell. So we travel this journey called life, and through this, some people have an ability they've got an ability to be able to document such. Some do it through YouTube, some do it through pictures, some do it. And I thought to myself, you know what, this is the kind of story that I would like to share with someone. It doesn't exempt me from anyone else who's tested positive. It just gives me the opportunity to write my story and own the narrative. And that's what I want to do. I wanted to be able to write a part of my story that could possibly be relatable to the next person who might be reading it, who might have gone through much worse than what I went through as well.
But then I think the obvious question would now be, why write about COVID and not your actual story when it comes to real estate and the success of that? Because you have a long experience with that. Why decide to now write a pocket book about a very small part of your life, which is literally 2 or 3 weeks? Why was that important?
It was important because in as much as it was a very small part of my life, it was the most traumatic part of my life. It's the most memorable part of my life. You know, there's certain events in life that might happen over a day that you will never forget. And for me, these 19 days are the 19 days that have shaped my thinking. I'm a different person to what I was before testing positive. I'm more patient, I'm kinder, I'm more sincere. And I just wanted to put my experiences on paper. And this is not a book about COVID-19. It's actually more about a book about friendship. It's a book about loyalty. It's a book about betrayal. It's a book about things that all of us go through in different ways. It just so happened that I went through it during my 19 days of recovery.
But also, if I can just jump in there, Jackie, and that's why in asking my question about why would you write a book, I said, I have a good understanding of it because if you read or if you look at the book Kwezi, you know, the protagonist of the story, the one big thing of the story is that one night, what happened, the encounter that happened, I mean, that must have been merely minutes. You know, you can go to any story, go to the story of 9/11. It didn't last a day, 2 days, 3 days. It happened and it was impacted in a matter of minutes. Yet that is a story worthy of books. It's a story worthy of movies, etc., etc. And you can go to any story. Any story has a core, has that one thing that fuels the story. So yes, there's a before, there's a between, there's an after. So the one thing is the one that makes the story happen. And for TT, his 9/11, his Kwezi was COVID.
Yeah.
So this is merely but what would be in the book of life, aka a biography, a chapter that would, tell the story of why my life changed.
Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna dive straight into the book. I am looking at the contents of the book, right? So we saw the book cover earlier on. Andile has a cover.
Yeah.
Andile, I really want to see the book. Thanks. So I'm looking at your table of contents so that, you signed your own book, huh?
No, this is someone's book that I need to give to. This is assigned for him. I need to give it to him. He bought 50 books. How?
Oh, okay. No, but there's no shame in signing your own book and having that personal copy that you frame. I do that as well. I sign my own copies and keep them. You sign it.
And you
For example, guys. No, I write the day the book arrived and how I felt about it. And it's like a little note for myself to say, this is the book. The first day I felt the book, how did it feel? What was the intention for the book? And then I sign it and keep it on the wall so that I remember. But back to you, TT, the contents, right?
Yeah.
You have day 1 as my darkest day. Day 2, my biggest mistake. Day 3, symptoms. Day 4, anger towards myself. Day 5, support structure. Day 6, Corona champions. Day 7, supportive friends. I think Andile belongs here. Day 8, force to be reckoned with. Day 9, emotionally drained. Day 10, 0 symptoms. Day 11, freedom. Day 12, protect your mind. Day 13, jovial mood. I think that one I remember. That video that you posted when you were happy, you were like, hey, I'm free.
Yeah.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
And then day 14, retest. Day 15, positive spirit. We all need that. Day 16, bittersweet day. Day 17, tough talk birth. Day 18, tough talk vision. Day 19, tough talk with TT. Why did you put it that way? Why is this table of contents written this way?
So remember, it's out in exclusive books. You can go and get it across the country. It's Tough Talk with TT. And if you do you can follow by just opening it up and just reading the contents there as we go along. You can see mine is signed. There's going to be a book tour soon. So you can also buy yours and get it signed as well. Tough Talk with TT, exclusive books. It's available.
Such a show off.
Like an ad break.
Such a show off.
Showing the presenter in him and the marketer in him.
Showing his signed copy. Oh, it's like you can get yours in store.
But on a serious note, I mean, I'm looking at this from a writer's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Going from designing the book cover, you've got an image there of yourself, and I would want you to explain why that specific image, and then the way you wrote your table of contents, just to give a reader an insight of what your mindset was, number one, things to look forward to, but why write it this way instead of just saying chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3? Why was it important for you to label it this way?
So it was important for me to label it this way because it goes in line with us being in this new normal way of doing things. So I thought to myself, there's always the typical way of writing chapters, but this could be a different way of capturing it.
Yeah.
And also for me, I didn't want the chapters to take away from the days, because the days are what I experienced, not the chapters. So how you perceive this in terms of reading it, you can treat day 1 as chapter 1 if it makes you comfortable. But I had to treat it as a day, the first day of this journey, and this is what transpired. So if you look at the contents and you look at day 1, it says my darkest day. And the more you read about that particular chapter, that's when you get to realize why the entire chapter has a lot to do about the fact that it was my darkest day. So many dark things happened to me on that particular day that when I remember that day, I only remember darkness around that particular day. And so it goes with the other days, symptoms. I talk about the kind of symptoms I had around day 3. And if you look at day 9, when I was emotionally drained, I get to talk about what caused me to get to that point of moving from being a force to reckon with the day before to being emotionally drained the very next day. And after that, having 0 symptoms. So it's one of those books that you have to read it through. You can't read one chapter and stop, because it's a journey. And that's why I think I said this to you earlier, that you could easily read this in 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how fast.
I really did. Like, it was literally 45 minutes for me max.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you write as you speak.
Yeah.
I literally heard your voice. I was like, Titi, you're literally in my head. It is an easy read, very quick, very fast paced, very factual. But there's something that I want to ask you, but I'm going to ask you after you do one thing for me. Please go to your introduction.
Yeah.
Would you please read that for us? Just the first paragraph.
Okay. My name is TTMBHA, and I'm going to take you through a 19-day journey of how I recovered from having tested positive on the 24th of June 2020, recovered on the 9th of July 2020, and finally launched Toughtalk with TT on the 12th of July. So if you count the days from the 24th of June all the way to the 12th of July, it is 19 days. And it is these 19 days that have shaped and changed my life for the better. I would like to share the journey and story with the hope that somebody out there, you reading this book right now, can get hope and healing. Toughtalk with TT is all about bringing hope and healing to our nation. And so as we navigate these 19 chapters, which are represented by each day, I really hope that you will receive the healing that it is intended to come your way.
I'm so glad that you actually read that, because you're in a world now where your story really matters.
Yeah.
And you writing it is an example of you surviving it, right?
Yeah.
What I appreciate in this book the most is your honesty.
Yeah.
And which would bring me to this question. In chapter 1, you speak of your dark days.
Yes.
And the first thing I picked up when I read chapter 1, I said, brutal, brutal, brutal.
Mm-hmm.
You encountered a sort of a disloyalty in a friendship, right? So you discover that you are COVID-19. There's an event happening, which happened to be, it's called Act Now, right?
Act Now, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Act Now. And it's literally a movement designed to sort of, to like shed light on gender-based violence, but it's led by men, right?
Yeah.
And a particular individual then says, Titi, you tested positive. How dare you come to our event knowing very well that you tested positive? You're literally trying to kill people. Why was it so important for you to write about it, number 1? Number 2, you mentioned the people's names. If you would like, you would mention them. I'm not going to. Mm-hmm. Simply because this is your book launch and not theirs. Not that I'm scared of anybody, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's yours, and I want you to carry your own narrative, right?
Yeah.
So this happens, you write about it, you mention the real names, but my problem with that chapter would be, why was it important to even speak about it if it was not true, that you were there to infect people?
So if you understand the way the book flows, you will get to appreciate the fact that that part of what transpired was probably most critical to share with the world, because I would hear through the grapevine that people are discussing me and they're saying, no, but this guy's busy posting about him testing positive, and yet he knew he was positive and he went to the march. So there was a lot of people saying those things behind closed doors and corridors and behind my back, and it would get to me. So people who care about me would come to me and say, dude, are you aware that there are people out there who are saying that you went out there specifically to go and spread this thing? How are you going to manage this? How are you going to handle this? So it was of utter importance for me to have this documented into the book, because it is what transpired at the end of the day. So this book is not about things that didn't happen. And Andile would attest to this, because I think he was one of the people that I consulted with the most during this period. he gave me advice that was probably the most sound, and that was the most sincere. And he would tell you as well that, you know, I actually asked him about this particular part of the journey. And I said to him, do you think I should put it in or should I just leave it out? And he said to me, look, at the end of the day, it's your story. Are you willing to share half of it, or do you want to tell people exactly what happened? The choice is yours. And Andy, I don't know if you want to.
So your intention was not to infect anyone. It was just purely because you believed in the course, and that's why you were there.
So I was there because I believe in the cause, number one, right? Number two, I was there because I did not have my results back. So I went to go test the Friday before the march. The march happened on a Sunday, which was Father's Day.
Yeah.
I only got my results the Wednesday after that. The biggest mistake I made, and I talk about it in the book, was the way I delivered my video. So in my video, I said to people that, guys, I've just tested positive, and I would encourage everyone to stay at home, be safe. This thing is real. Stay at home, and I will be starting my isolation as of Friday. Now, when I listened to that video over and over again, I realized why most people would assume that I had tested positive on Friday. And all I was trying to explain to them was I actually went to go test the Friday before. And yes, I'll be the first to concede that I should not have been there.
So there's two reasons, Tato, that people go test.
Yeah.
You know, if you've been around somebody who was later, like if I was around you and you were later found to have COVID, or if you personally are symptomatic, right? So we need to get to the why did you even test in the first place for you to realize that you're COVID-19, or rather you're COVID positive. And then from there on, I think the next step then would be, why would you then go to a march? A march is a mass gathering of people, you know, because then you're loaded with an AK-47, particularly since some of the men that were part of that march were rather elderly, you know, and that would have been a risk, because especially with the little information and that we knew was trickled in, we didn't know everything that we needed to know. So do you want to take us through that step first?
Yeah, sure. So I think the actual journey, which is actually in the book as well, started on the 16th of June. It was a holiday. And I started having this mild cough. And the entire day I was bedridden and I was self-medicating. And after that, the next 2 days, this cough wasn't going away. So from the 16th of June until the 18th of June, I was coughing continuously and still like feeling that I'm not getting better with this whole self-medication route that I took. Then on the Friday, which was the 19th of June, I decided to go see a GP, and he then did whatever test that he needed to do. And he did confirm that I've got a mild flu, and he gave me whatever, he prescribed whatever. And then from nowhere, he said to me, don't you want to go test for COVID-19? Landsat is just next door. And I said to him, well, I might as well, because this cough isn't going anywhere. So, and that's actually what transpired. I then tested that Friday afternoon, and then the Sunday I went to the march, because I took the medication on Friday and on Saturday. Sunday morning I woke up feeling a little bit better than I felt 2 days before. And I thought to myself, I'm ready to go to support this cause, and then I'll come back home. I remember actually even speaking to Tebohole Rule about it, to say, look, I've got a bit of a cough, but I will come and support it, because it was very cold that day.
And then you mentioned another incident, right? This is now a DJ. I think her name is Miss Cosmo. She then goes and takes that information. Well, she goes on YouTube, does a video, right? Where she literally defames you and says, you literally were trying to manslaughter these people.
Yeah.
But now you had a conversation with the ACNA people way before that. The video only came out most probably a week later.
Yeah, a week and a half later.
Of which obviously it was later taken down because you wanted to take legal action, right?
Yes.
But in your recovery, you're seeing all of these things happen online. What are you thinking? Because now you can't go anywhere and go represent yourself and try to fix this, try to fix that. How do you now fix a situation where you try to solve one issue, a week later something else transpires and you're at home and you're sick, you can't really defend yourself?
So if you look at day five, the content there says support structure. And I think it alludes to the fact that, you know, that's when I realized the power of having a very solid support structure. It's like the foundation of anyone's life's journey. It is through these times, you know, I I went through this a saga with Act Now. They wrote a press statement, which I had to obviously defend. And just when I thought, okay, that's over, that little battle is over, everyone that helped me contributed to that. From nowhere, as I'm, embarking on this journey of recovery, I get an SMS from a journalist from Times Media, and the SMS goes as such that, hi, this is Kyle, whoever. We saw a podcast with DJ Miss Cosmo, and she's basically saying that you went out there to spread this virus on the day of the march. I then sent the message to Andile, who then obviously tracked this YouTube video. He sent it to me. We both watched it, and we got to that piece where she was deforming my character. She was literally saying that I deserve to be arrested. I need to go to jail. I need to be arrested for culpable homicide because I knew that I was positive a week before the march. A week. So she's claiming that I was positive a week before the 21st of June. And then obviously through Andile's help, he was able to get in touch with the producers of the show, and he put us on a 3-way call. And basically he told them that, guys, what you guys are doing is deforming his character. You are also disabling his ability to have a livelihood.
An income. Yeah, have an income.
Who wants to do business with someone who's got intentions of going out there to massacre other people through the virus? No one wants to do business with such.
Once again, remember, you can get the book at Exclusive Books. It is available. You can go and get it. But once again, TT is very litigious in the way that he does things. So it's always disarming him first when you attack something, and then getting to it, and the understanding of both sides. From where Ms. Cosmo sits, having seen the video and read the Act Now statement, it would be reasonably appreciated that she could come to that conclusion, right? Because TT's side at this juncture had not yet been known. The guys from Act Now, Tebogo and crew, had not gathered with TT to send out, a combined statement that says, we are very well aware that he came to the march to support. Because I think the first thing that should have been done was them saying he came to support. He wasn't aware. He realizes and recognizes that what he did was wrong. We appreciate him having come, but feel like he should have stayed home and supported from home. I think it should have been really something that small. Yeah. But it allowed for Ms. Cosmo and Andy that's sitting at home to look at it and think, "Aye man, if TT's video says Friday, and that's what the Act Now statement that's gone out to media is saying, then I could have that opinion." Which, once she heard the full story as well, she was, happy to concede to a very, like I said, litigiously ready to run Tato.
Okay, I'm done with Act Now.
Me too.
Okay,
Me too.
I'm done with Act Now. There's things that I felt like, why didn't you tell us about not having sex when you have coronavirus? You're not saying anything about it. Because I want to know, you have got all these symptoms. You've got running stomach, you have all these things that you're drinking. How was the sex life?
What sex life? There was no sex life. You are isolating.
So there's nothing. Kaniti.
You are isolating. Unless there's other creative ways that I'm not aware of, but you are in isolation. I think also because of your state of mind, and I think you can relate to this, Jackie, because you've been through this. Other things become so non-important.
It don't matter.
And I think even with that, sex, and even just in general, like even work, I got to a point where I couldn't even care about work. I couldn't care what's happening out there. I needed to fix myself. And even in the book, I talk about the fact that there would be days when I wouldn't even shower.
Yeah.
I didn't find there was no point. There was no point. So yeah.
But was there ever a time where you just felt like, I am sick of the medication, I'm sick of sleeping, I'm sick of the get well soon messages, I don't want to hear anything anymore?
Yeah, that was, I think that was day 7.
Day 7 and day 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I could pick up from reading.
Yeah, because I was tired of the calls. I was tired of the same messages coming in. We're thinking about you, you're gonna be fine, and I appreciate every message. You must never take those things for granted, because it means people have actually thought about you within their busy schedules. We are all busy. But at some point I was like, I'm tired of watching TV. I'm tired of eating. I'm tired of everything. I don't know what else to do. And that's the point when I realized that, for me, it was a turning point, because that's when I stopped watching TV. I stopped being on social media. I just stopped a lot of things. And I just focused on being with myself.
Was it really intentional where you say, today I'm stopping, or you just got to a point where you just didn't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, it wasn't planned. I mean, it was a feeling that just came over me, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. And you must remember, you're stuck. And in fact, the interesting thing is, I'm talking to you guys right now from the room that I was isolating in.
No way.
So for me, it's like, and I'm looking out here, and I'm like, yo, this site was not as beautiful as it was when I was sick.
Let me ask you, because isolation, we're most familiar with it from a prison term, where one is truly, horrendous in the acts they've done. They will move them to isolation, and that's meant to break down even the most hardened of people. It's not empathetic in any way. So it breaks down the mind. The reason when you go into prison, they take your belt, they take your shoelaces, because anything that you can use to harm yourself. From when your mind is broken down and you do not foresee a future beyond what's in front of you, you don't do anything weird. So when you say, I was isolated and I stopped thinking about everything, in my mind is, you weren't thinking about a future beyond now. Did death ever come across? Did death ever come to you? Did you ever think of death?
Yes, I did. Plenty times. So often that I was like, is there really a point in still being alive if I'm going to go through so much pain? And am I really the only person who's going through this? Because remember, when I tested positive, it was still pretty new all around. So we didn't have a lot of people around that, were positive, or I didn't have a lot of people around me that I could call and say, hey, I saw you posted the other day. How are you doing? What did you go through? So I had no point of reference when it comes to this, and I dealt with it. And I ended up doing more praying than anything else, because I realized that this whole thing of thinking negatively and about death it's not helpful. It's actually taking me backwards.
Do you still? I know in the book you referred to a song that made you stay alive. Do you still remember the lyrics to the song? Whose song was it?
That's the song that I cry to. That's the song that Andile and his friends make fun of me. It's called Give Me Oil in My Lamp.
How embarrassing.
Keep it burning. And I was actually in tears.
Keep it burning.
I was in tears, and he laughed at me. He made a whole joke about it all over social media. I think at that point, what was going through my mind was the fact that it was too much for me. And I think I got to a point of no return, where I just wanted to share my pain, and I wanted to share it was probably a cry for help to someone because I posted it at 5 minutes after midnight. So I thought everyone is sleeping anyway, but the messages kept pouring in, and people were like, don't worry, you're almost there. You'll be fine. And then obviously you have the jokers like Angela who were making fun of me, then actually sympathizing with my situation.
But
Jackie, if I can just go right to the beginning, Tata, because I think it's important. Where did you get COVID?
That's a very good question, because I actually have no idea. And my suspicion is that it could have been as a result of some of the viewings that I do with clients. Because remember, we got to a level where we were able to start operating, and we were able to do viewings, but obviously have to follow protocols. And I did do quite a few viewings with different clients, even though we're wearing masks. So I can't sit here and pinpoint and say this is exactly where I was when it happened. It could have been at the shops when I went to go get essentials. So I actually have no clue where I got it.
I think that's the most irritating part, where you can't pinpoint. Didn't that play in your mind the most when you were like, damn, I regret going out? Could I have made an alternative plan, maybe an online way I order online and get things delivered? Or could I not send somebody else? Because now I'm literally the breadwinner at home. I've got a wife and kids. If I had prevented this way, did that not play on your mind for the longest time?
It did, because I was trying to backtrack, and discover where did I get it? It was, and I spent so much time trying to figure it out. Then at some point I realized that it's not going to change the fact that I'm positive. So just get on with it. And I think that's one thing that I always encourage people who are negative, to be sensitive around people who are positive, around what they ask them, you know, because some people might have gotten it because they were reckless, but no one will ever admit and say, listen, I tested positive because I went to a braai. People will never disclose the truth anyway. So you'll never really. So it's the same principle where if someone passes on, you know, in African culture, it's actually, you shouldn't be asking the person what happened. It's none of your business what happened. Just send your condolences.
Yeah, send condolences and
keep
respect.
it moving. Yeah, this thing of what killed them, it's not important.
Another thing is, right, I don't want to give too much away from the book itself because it's a very short book. It's very quick to read. But I think your message is quite uplifting if they read everything and they get to understand why you wrote it.
Yeah.
But my question would be to you, you are sick. When did you get the time to write? Okay.
So like I said, I documented everything that happened on a daily basis.
On a daily basis,
and then when I got better, I then decided to go into a studio. And I went into a studio with my notes and I just started speaking about everything that happened per day, whatever I could remember. I started spitting it out. And with that, so that's how the audiobook was launched. It's an hour and 35 minutes long, and it's also available online. And from that, I said to the guys, please go away and listen to this. Spend time, listen to it about 5 times, and then put structure to it and start putting pen to paper. And that's how the book was formulated.
But now, what the difference that I see when you are on social media and you do these Sunday sessions with people, the recovery, people who are positive, people who are still going through COVID, why did you not include that in the actual book itself? Because it's the same stories from different people, different aspects. Why were they omitted from the actual book?
Because I wanted to distinguish the different platforms. So the Instagram Live was really about creating a platform that was genuinely unprepared. And unprepared in the sense that I don't know who's going to connect with me. I don't know them from above soap. I don't know what they're going to say. And I wanted to allow people to be able to get into their headspace. So that was the social media platform. And of that, I then decided to create an audiobook because I realized the impact that this was having on people, positive impact that is. And after we completed the audiobook and we listened to it quite a few times, I actually didn't plan to do the printed version of it. I was going to leave it at an audio level and hopefully people will download it. And then the guy, Siyabonga Ndlozi, who's the publisher, said, no, we have to write the story. We have to take what you've just done in this hour and 35 minutes and try and put it into some sort of structured way. And the story, and I said to them, the only thing I'm going to ask is don't change the story. Do not try and add things that are not there. Let's not try and make this a 200-page book. It's not that. It's a pocket book. It's a survival guide. And if you look at the back, the entire book talks about bringing hope and healing to our nation. And if you look at this quote, I mean, I think for me, this quote summarizes everything. You know, I decided to rest in isolation because I wasn't ready to rest in peace.
I love that. I really like that because you also share some quotes. I think I would rather call them affirmations, right?
Yeah.
So this is now on page 77 of your book.
Yeah.
You say, never underestimate the power of pursuing passion through persistence and patience. I want to be the voice of hope to every Kasi child that always gets told they won't make it. Once you understand my story, you will appreciate my glory. Ooh, I love that. Whenever I speak, I choose to influence and I choose to change lives. When you look deep into my eyes, you will see a relentless, what is that word? Hey, meningitis survived. You had meningitis. I'm like, because I was like,
Yeah.
You had meningitis.
2014. You know.
Which was also, mind you, a life-changing moment for you as well, because up until Tata was involved in television production with Black Brain. And that's when, after the meningitis, said, I need to live my purpose and dream, and went into real estate. So once again, this is for every life-changing occurrence, or for every severe occurrence, there's a life-changing element that happens thereafter.
Absolutely.
One last thing. You say, I believe in myself, and that makes me unstoppable. And I've seen it in you. I've really, really seen it. You're really unstoppable. But one or two questions. Let's see. Is our audience active?
I wanna ask you a couple of hard questions.
Mm.
Are you just, I mean, I know you spoke, but hundreds of thousands of South Africans are getting COVID. It's not a big deal. Some are having even more dire situations than what you have. Are you just a fame seeking in the shadow of your famous friends, living attention, wanting, star chasing, go-getter person who wants to be seen as something bigger than what he really is, not satisfied with just being, living in the shadow of your famous friends and just doing your thing, which is real estate? Is that who and what you are? And is that why we're here for this, which is available in exclusive books?
By the way, so if you look at page 79, to answer your question, are you there, Andy? You got the book.
I'm with you.
So if you look at page 79, one of the quotes reads as follows: I remind myself every day that I cannot fail at being myself. I cannot fail at being myself. So I cannot fail at owning my narrative. I cannot fail at wanting to share my story with the world. I cannot. And that's why I said, earlier on, that different strokes for different folks. Some people think this is an attention-seeking platform that I'm using. And yet I'm like, where were you when I couldn't breathe? Where were you when I was vomiting? Where were you when my nose was bleeding? Where were you when my wife, was going through the most and not knowing what to do with me? Where were you? And now that I'm doing something, that I'm taking something that was negative and turning into something that's positive, that I've got stats that has helped a lot of people because of the platform that I've created. And now you've got an opinion about it. But where were you?
True that. Well, you have to own your own narrative. That's why we write stories. It would be of great injustice for us if we never had the courage to even write anything at all. Yeah. We've got so many stories, whether it's from your childhood, an illness, education, how you survived something, or even how to create businesses. It would really be an injustice if nobody wanted to tell the story because they're scared of people who will never even meet them, who just have opinions because they've not achieved anything in life. I do commend you for doing this. I also need it because you can get reinfected, mind you. So it's really necessary because if you have it now, in 6 months' time or even 6 weeks' time, you can get reinfected. So we're going to need this throughout until a vaccine is discovered, or until somebody sells it to us, because Russia is saying they've got, and then so many politics with that. Yeah. But let us see what our participants have to say just before we end this conversation. We've got literally 7 minutes left before it ends. We are supposed to save it before 7 o'clock. Before 8. Is it 7 or 8, guys?
It's at 7 o'clock. Yeah, we've got 10 minutes to go. So whilst you're waiting for the comments, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
The title Tough Talk with TT is not limited to COVID-19. Next year, we're getting into elections. Tough Talk TT is going to get into those issues. So just for someone who's out there who's not sure what it's about, Tough Talk with TT is a platform that I've created to deal with tough issues that affect us all. Right now, it's COVID-19. Next year, it's going to be the elections. The following year, it's going to be the economy. There's always something that affects us as a collective. It just so happens that COVID-19 affected all of us across the board.
Woo! Questions in the chat box.
Where are they?
I've got a question from... Just go below your screen. Oh, there's a chat. Yeah. You click, and there's a line of comments. Can you see them? Andile, do you see what I see?
Yeah, I read all of them already. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so the first question is from Gundu. They say, TT, is the podcast available on Spotify?
Yes, it is. The book, you mean?
No, or a podcast.
I
Yeah,
can see.
is there a red version on? I know I got it on iTunes. I know it is available on iTunes.
Yes,
so
it is
assuming-
available.
I
on
think they're
Spotify.
trying to say. I think they're trying to say, is the audio book available on Spotify?
It is
Which
available.
platform is it available on?
Yeah, it's available on Spotify. It's available on Amazon.com. All the digital stores have the book.
There's also another question. It's from the Bear Nation. Oh, okay. They say, do you regard yourself as a South African author now that you have gotten a published book, or are you still Titimba, the real estate tycoon?
Sure. I will always be Titimba. And that's who I am. That's who I resonate with. I just so happen to have a story that I decided to publish. Whether you would like to regard me as an author or not is not something that is going to cause me sleepless nights. What's important is that I am sharing my testimony with the world, just like other people would share it on their various platforms, whether they use Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever other mediums. I just decided to use a different way of telling my story.
Well, Emmy says, can't somebody be both an author and a realtor?
I suppose. I mean, there's a lot of realtors that have written books about real estate, and I've had a lot of people asking me when I'm writing my real estate book, and they must just be patient. You know, I guess this book for me also was an eye-opener. I never ever imagined myself being an author or writing a book. You know, I always capture events and things that happen through pictures. You know, I'm one guy who loves using pictures as a medium of communicating a message out there. But here we are. This was not planned. I didn't ask to be tested positive. I didn't ask for COVID-19, but I guess COVID-19 created an opportunity.
But
This
then,
question is asked, but I know you get it a lot, because a lot of people are very furtive about it. Why did you decide not to be?
Why did I decide not?
Not to be. Because a lot of people are very secretive, furtive,
Oh,
secretive.
secretive. Hey, you and your big English. Okay. So I think a lot of people appreciate, a lot of my followers appreciate my honesty in everything that I do. So I post my life. I post what's happening in my life. You know, I post reality. You know, I post the fact that I'm a township boy. I'm a Kasi guy who loves being in the hood. And also I post positive things. So for me, it was about sharing an experience that I never thought would happen to me. That's all it was. Some people decide to go and talk about it after they've recovered. I wanted to talk about it during the process to see if I'm going to make it, so that there's something that we can look back and go, we remember. He didn't just wake up and decide to buy a book. People actually, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see my journey from the 24th of June all the way till the 19th of July.
So Titi, what has been the hardest challenge in the process of your writing? What was the one thing that you said, damn, if this didn't boil over, this book would have not happened? Except the fact that if you died, it wouldn't have happened. But what was your biggest challenge when you were writing the book?
I think the biggest challenge for me was realizing that we are all human beings, and sometimes you just need to be you're forced into situations to realize the true character of people. Whether you get a rude awakening about how people can betray you, or whether you get a rude awakening of how loyal people can be. It's like extremes. And through this journey, I realized that there's a lot of people who genuinely love me. And there's a lot of people who are genuinely kind. And through this, I was able to, separate and realize and appreciate what I do have in the friends and in the relationships that I've built over time.
There's one big question. Yes. So you say the proceeds of, well, I think it's 10% if I'm not incorrect. Mm-hmm. The proceeds are going to the Solidarity Fund, right?
Yeah.
Are you honestly going to donate?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to donate. So for every book that I sell, 10 Rand is going to go to a COVID relief fund that I need to decide upon. And what's my partners and my friends at Jaguar have actually decided that they're going to join me in this cause. So the first 1,000 books that I'm going to sell, they're going to donate 10,000 Rand, which means the first 1,000 books that I'm going to sell, there's 20,000 Rands already that we're going to donate. And I think I've already reached 1,000 anyway. So I think,
Well done.
yeah. So for me, I did it because I wanted to show Case the fact that you can use an opportunity like this to still give back unto others that are less fortunate. If you are going to be bringing hope and healing, you must bring hope and healing that is tangible.
But you are making money from this. I mean, as a businessman, is that how you looked at it, to say, here's an opportunity to make some money, but also at the same time, use it to perhaps, spread a little bit of cheer to where Corona has devastated?
So to be honest with you, this book was not a business decision. It had nothing to do with business. And I think that's why even the pricing of it is like, it's $100. So, and we all know that the margins are not the greatest, So for me, it's not about making money, but more so about getting as many people to at least read my story and maybe take a leaf of something that they can relate within that story.
One last question from the comment section. Tobeka is asking, how did your family deal with you contracting the virus?
First of all, I think my wife was probably the strongest person in the process. She also tested positive, and it's all in the book. And so were my kids. And I think for my kids, they didn't have much of an understanding of what it meant for them to be positive because they didn't have any symptoms. But I think for me, the one thing I will never forget is the fact that we are staying under one roof and we are talking on video. That is the most painful thing that can happen to any parent, is being able to chat to your kids via video call, but you are living under the same roof and you can.
When I read that part, I cringed. When I read that part, I cringed because it felt like you are literally in different islands and you are literally trying to seek out your children. When you look at an image where a father and daughter are standing worlds apart and you're trying to reach out to them. And I literally had my heart in my hands and I said, damn,
that was deep.
This is proper isolation. This is painful to see your child on a video call.
Let me make it worse. So TT's youngest is 4 years old.
5,
5 years old, just a year older than mine, Duni. So she hadn't tested positive. So the 3, which, is TJ, who's 8, 7 turning 8, and 8, and then there's Beanie, the wife, and TT have all tested positive, except for the youngest one, who's 5. So now her and the helper are negative, so they go and live together practically, and the 3 of them live together. So the only way he sees his young daughter in the same house is through a door and through glass the entire time.
That is painful. I live alone, so I didn't experience the feeling of not being able to reach out to somebody who's literally next door. But I can't also now imagine what goes on in your head when you cannot see your children for so long and they're right next door.
It's the worst, but you know what? We are here to tell the story, and that's what it's about. Owning the narrative for me is probably the most important thing that I've learned from this entire journey.
All right. I had said last question, but I'm going to just throw this in. When can we order the book from an online platform? Are we expecting collaboration between you and Jackie in the future for writing? This is now people on Instagram, guys. I'm reading it from Instagram.
So the book is available all over, online, and obviously at exclusive books across the country. And yes, Jackie and I are working on something amazing. We will announce it tomorrow. So look out for the announcement on Spring Day. I can't divulge much, but it's exciting times. I think it's long overdue. We are changing the narrative. It's a first of its kind in South Africa to be. What we are doing, what we're going to announce tomorrow has never been done in South Africa. And I think this new normal has allowed us an opportunity to tap into our creativity.
I love page 79. Just in closing, just before Uput Andile steps in to just wrap this up for us, please read that last affirmation for us. Page 79.
Which one? 70. At the top? At the top?
From the top to all the way to the bottom of 79.
79.
Where it says hospitals are?
Oh, yes. Hospitals are a humbling reminder that I'm just a passenger in God's unpredictable transport system called life. I remind myself every day that I cannot fail at being myself. My humility is my currency. This lockdown is an opportunity to unlock the greatness inside you. A good morning starts with good dress code choices.
Congratulations, author. You are now officially inducted.
Thank you very much. Angela, do you want to say something? You look like a...
Yeah, ngesilali, so you-author manje wena. Asalali, but name was Kumara TT, the author. But I think I saw somebody saying that I'm very cynical, and I think cynicism speaks to distrustful towards, sincerity and integrity. I don't think that was it at all. I've been a part of this journey from day one with him. We speak absolutely every day about everything in our lives. And at the same time, I'm aware of everything that everybody was thinking. Call me the devil's advocate, perhaps, for tonight's session rather than a cynicist. The book is available at Cynical Person, rather, at Exclusive Books. Congratulations on the book and its current success. But also, I think there's somebody in here that says it might not be for everyone here right now. And I think that's important. It might not be for you and I who live this, but just as I've only known the Spanish flu for having read about it, in a couple of years' time, TJ's generation, and the generation to come will only know about this COVID-19 through books. Yeah. And you have given them yet another angle to a personal appreciation of what COVID was. So get it, keep it in yourself, because one day somebody will ask you the question, what was it like? What was it? Because if I can ask many of people right now, one of the biggest devastations in the world, which was the Spanish flu, very few will tell you about it. So good on you and all the best, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just before you close off, TT, I love your honesty in the book. You're so transparent, well written. I mean, from page 1 to the last page, you read and you laugh and you feel the sadness, and you also feel like, at least I know TT a little bit. It's an easy read. I would recommend anybody to read it. It's not for only the old generation or young people, or it's really for everybody, because we in this lockdown together. So congratulations, brother. I really, really wish you well, and I want you to write more. You have a very spicy way of writing. I'm trying to find a word that would really match up to what I'm trying to say to you.
Effervescent.
Effervescent. But I really appreciate this, what you have now created. You have made it so easy for people to accept that we all can get COVID-19, and it's not such a taboo thing. It's not, should not be stigmatized. It should not be frowned upon. So thank you. You made us feel like it's okay and you can beat it.
Thank you, guys. So I'd like to thank you, Jackie and Andile, for agreeing to, be the discussants for this particular session. And I'd like to thank Exclusive Books for the opportunity afforded. It's my first launch. I didn't know what to expect. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all the people that attended. I can see them. I can see their names. I recognize all of them. Thank you for making the time. The book is out, as Andile had alluded to earlier on. It's really about bringing hope and healing. And for me, we keep paying it forward onto the next people. Thank you so much.
And how much is the book?
Huh?
How much is the book?
$100. $100. And 10 rand goes to charity. So it's 90 bucks.
Well done. It's affordable. So is it safe to say now the book is available at all exclusive books in the country? Would that now include the Botswana store as well? Which
I'm not sure if it's reached there yet, but I know it's on its way. But if you go to any exclusive books and you don't find it, just leave your name and number and order it so that when it does get to the stores, they can give you a shout to tell you that it's arrived. That's what's been happening in this past weekend. A lot of people have been going there and the book is not there yet, but it will be there I think by Wednesday, everyone should have it. Stores.
All right. Congratulations and thank you so much to Exclusive Books. We really appreciate this opportunity. We had a great time. Thank you so much for your comments, those of you who left comments, but those of you who were shy and you were hiding,
we can see you.
We can see that you're there. So thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate your presence here. This will be saved on Exclusive Books Facebook page, and I believe they will upload it in other media streams or social media platforms. Thank you so much, Exclusive Books, for having us. Congratulations, TT. Thank you, Abuti and Dilengube. And it is good night from me, and God bless.
All the way.